Gabriella Levin was known as a force in Hollywood. A top movie producer and director, she had an uncanny ability to spot scripts that would turn into blockbusters. Critics praised her for her talent, her meticulous directing, and her ability to tell compelling stories. But there was one thing Gabriella was known for outside of the industry: her faith. Every Friday evening, she stopped everything for Sabbath. While others in Hollywood drowned in late-night parties or rushed to wrap up projects, Gabriella would light the candles, read scriptures, and pray. Her home radiated peace, a stark contrast to the chaos of her profession. But despite her personal devotion, her films reflected none of it. Her work ranged from gritty crime dramas to dark supernatural thrillers. She told herself that art was separate from faith. Her job was to entertain, not to preach. That all changed on an ordinary morning as she drove to the set of her latest project, Queen of the Damned. The script for Queen of the Damned had captivated her initially. It was daring, ambitious, and haunting, a tale about a queen who consumed the souls of children to sustain her dark power. It was going to be her magnum opus. But as she navigated the Los Angeles traffic that morning, a podcast played through her car speakers. The episode was titled, "But You're Robbing Me." The conversation was about tithes and offerings, but the interviewer asked a question that caught Gabriella's attention. Do tithes only apply to money? The guest answered no. Yahuwah asks for our increase, for our first fruits, for what we create. He's given us gifts to glorify him. If we're blessed with much, much is required. It's not just about that 10%. It's about faith, trusting that when we honor him, he will bless it. Holding back hurts our relationship with him. Gabriella felt her chest tighten. She pulled over to the side of the road, heart pounding. The words echoed in her mind, much is required. What has she been doing with the gifts Yahuwah had given her? She had spent her career creating films that entertained but glorified nothing of worth. For the rest of the drive, Gabriella wrestled with a conviction stirring in her soul. When she arrived on set, she knew what she had to do. She called an emergency meeting with the writers and producers. I can't make this movie as it is, she announced. Confusion and outrage rippled through the room. Gabriella explained her decision to rewrite the story, to shift its focus from glorifying darkness. Perhaps it could become a tale of redemption or triumph over evil. The resistance was immediate and unrelenting. This isn't what we signed up for, her staff protested. Ultimately, the studio decided to replace her. The loss stung. Gabriella felt like she had walked away from her career's crowning achievement, but deep down, she also felt peace, something she couldn't quite explain. Days turned into weeks, and Gabriella scoured through new scripts. She prayed for guidance, but the faith-based films she found were uninspiring. They just felt contrived and disconnected from the complexities of life. One sleepless night, she sat at her dining room table, staring at a pile of rejected manuscripts. She prayed aloud, "Father, why is it so hard to tell your story in a way that touches hearts? Show me the way." As she prayed, a thought struck her. Why not tell what you already know and use it for me? Gabriella realized she didn't have to abandon the depth and artistry she was known for. Instead, she could build spiritual truths into stories that related to the world. She didn't need to preach, she needed to show. The next day, Gabriella began outlining a script. It was a story about a young artist struggling with doubt and fear, discovering her purpose through faith. It wasn't heavy-handed or overly sentimental. It was raw, honest, and relatable. She pitched the idea to a small production company, willing to take risks. The project became a labor of love. When it was finally released, the film surprised everyone. Critics praised it for its depth and authenticity. Audiences wept and found hope in its message. Gabriella's conviction had led her down a difficult path, but it had also unlocked a new chapter in her career. She realized she didn't have to choose between her faith and her artistry. When she gave Yahuwah her best, he blessed it beyond what she could have ever imagined. And from that moment on, Gabriella's work reflected not just her talent, but her creator.